Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world, according to the 2019 Forbes billionaires list. With an estimated fortune of $131 billion, he is the wealthiest man in modern history. But he is by no means the richest man of all time.
I can't get you out of my mind.
That title is believed to belong to Mansa Musa, the 14th century West African ruler who was so rich that his generous handouts wrecked an entire country's economy. Contemporary accounts to Musa's wealth are so breathless that it's almost impossible to get a sense of just how wealthy and powerful he truly was.
It's like I feel it for the first time. Been thinking about you all night.
Mansa Musa was richer than anyone could describe. In 2012, US website Celebrity Net Worth estimated his wealth at $400 billion. But economic historians agree that his wealth is impossible to pin down to a number.
I've been searching for this all my life.
Mansa Musa was born in 1280 into a family of rulers. His brother, Mansa Abu Bakr, ruled the empire until 1312, when he resigned to go on a tour. According to 14th century Syrian historian, Shibab al-Abu Bakr was obsessed with the Atlantic Ocean and what lay beyond it. He reportedly embarked on a journey with a fleet of 2,000 ships and thousands of men, women, and slaves. They sailed off, never to return. Some historians, like the late Ivan, entertained the idea that they reached South America, but there is no evidence of this. In any case, Mansa Musa inherited the kingdom he left behind. Under his rule, the kingdom of Mali grew significantly. He conquered 24 cities, including Timbuktu.
That's my type. I've been looking for a boy who can treat me right. Short dark hair with those eyes so bright. They look into my soul and it sparks my life. Can I take you there? Like it was the first time, do you remember?
The kingdom stretched for about 2,000 miles from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to modern-day Niger, taking it parts of what are now Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, and Ivory Coast. With such a large landmass came great resources such as gold and salt. During the reign of Mansa Musa, the Empire of Mali accounted for almost half of the old world's gold, according to the British Museum, and all of it belonged to the king.
Can I take you there? Back to when we felt like this was forever.
Major trading centers that traded in gold and other goods were also in his territory, and he accumulated wealth from this trade. Though the Empire of Mali was home to so much gold, the kingdom itself was not well known. This changed when Mansa Musa, a devout Muslim, decided to go on a pilgrimage to Mecca, passing through the Sahara Desert and Egypt. The king reportedly left Mali with a caravan of 60,000 men. He took his entire royal court and officials, soldiers, entertainers, merchants, camel drivers, and 12,000 slaves, as well as a long train of goat and sheep for food. It was a city moving through the desert.
Can I take you there? Like it was the first time, do you remember?
A city whose inhabitants, all the way down to the slaves, were clad in gold brocade and finest Persian silk. 100 camels were towed, each camel carrying hundreds of pounds of pure gold. It was a sight to behold. The sight even got more opulent once the caravan reached Cairo, where they could really show off their wealth.
Can I take you there?
Mansa Musa left such a memorable impression on Cairo that Al-Umar, who visited the city 12 years later after the Malian king, recounted how highly the people of Cairo were speaking of him. So lavishly did he hand out gold in Cairo that his 3-month stay caused the price of gold to drop in the region for 10 years, wrecking the economy. US-based technology company Asset.com estimates that due to the depreciation of gold, Mansa Musa's pilgrimage led to about 1.5 billion of economic losses across the Middle East. On his way back home, Mansa Musa passed through Egypt again, and according to some, he tried to help the country's economy by removing some of the gold from circulation by borrowing it back at very high interest rates from Egyptian lenders. There is no doubt that Mansa Musa spent or wasted a lot of gold during his pilgrimage, but it was this excessive generosity that also caught the eyes of the world. Mansa Musa had put Mali and himself on the map. In a Catalan Atlas map from 1375, a drawing of an African king sits on a golden throne atop Timbuktu, holding a piece of gold in his hand. Timbuktu became famous, and people from all over the world came to have a glimpse. Timbuktu became a center of education, and people traveled from around the world to study at what would become Sankore University. The rich king is often credited with starting the tradition of education in West Africa, although the story of his empire largely remains little known outside West Africa. After Mansa Musa died in 1337, aged 57, the empire was inherited by his sons who could not hold the empire together. The smaller states broke off and the empire crumbled. The later arrivals of Europeans in the region was the final nail in the empire's coffin. According to historians, had Europeans arrived in significant numbers in Musa's time, with Mali at the height of its military and economic power, instead of a couple of hundreds years later, things almost certainly would have been different. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, like and share. Until next time, I'm your host Naomi and this is Tell a Tale.